5 mythical monsters that endured the test of time. Number 1. The Loch Ness Monster. There exists a lot of underwater monsters that have been mentioned in ancient mythologies and histories, but the most famous of them all is the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie as some like to call it, is a fabled creature that the mankind have been searching for a long time. It is believed to be some kind of plesiosaurus, a sort of aquatic dinosaur that has managed to survive in the Scottish Loch Ness Lake. The myth of this incredible creature held through time, not only because Nessie has no supernatural powers that we know of, giving the tales of its existence more credibility, but also because of its resemblance, according to almost every sighting, to a plesiosaurus, the aquatic dinosaur that lived in the Jurassic era, and is thought to have survived to see our days. Number 2. Vampires. We can't have a list of mythical creatures without including vampires. If you watch a lot of science fiction movies, then you definitely have heard about these supernatural creatures. The most famous vampire is undoubtedly Dracula, who in the stories, was modeled after the Romanian prince Vlad Tepes, more popularly known in the real world as Vlad the Impaler. While most people can name a few vampiric powers such as hypnosis, mind control, and an extraordinary combination of speed and strength, there are actually no set parameters to what a vampire can and cannot do. Simply because there are no firmly established ones. The two common characteristics that held through time when it comes to vampires, are the need to feed on blood, and sensitivity to silver. Number 3. Mermaids. Mermaids are female mythological creatures with the top body of a beautiful woman, and the bottom one of a fish. Also known as the seductresses, they are characterized by mesmerizingly beautiful singing voices, that draw sailors to their certain deaths. They are also mentioned in Homer's Odyssey, where Odysseus famously had his crew tie him to the mast of the ship because he wanted to hear the mermaids sing, and had his crew fill their ears with wax, so that they will be unaffected by their sound, and what you know. It worked. Number 4. Werewolves. Since we talked about vampires, it is only fair that we include werewolves in the conversation too. Especially since all the stories and TV shows place them both in eternal war for survival. The werewolves myth is so prevalent across multiple cultures, that it is so difficult to pinpoint where it originated. Werewolves have their stories told millions of times, with each story giving the creatures a different power and different reason to shift from human to beast, and providing humans with different methods of killing them. Although, a silver bullet usually seems to be the way to go. Number 5. Dragons. The precise origin of dragons is unknown, although several cultures including those in America, Europe, and even China have myths regarding these creatures. Some countries even have them in their national flags. These enormous flying serpents were described, at least as early as the age of ancient Greeks and Sumerians, and their interpretations were different across cultures. In some parts of the world such as China, dragons were viewed as gods, while in others they were feared, especially after Christianity became widespread, since many people associated them with the devil himself. Dragons are amazing. They can breathe fire, fly, and have a great deal of brute force. Although the show Game of Thrones proved that killing them is not impossible. This last myth is so great that we couldn't close the list without it, so here we go. Number 6. The Kraken. We saved the Kraken for last, because its legend is based off of an animal that actually exists. The mythical Kraken is one of the scariest monsters ever imagined. One of the earliest mentions of this gigantic underwater monster came from Swedish King Sverre of Norway in 1180. It was said that the creature was so massive that it could eat maritime crews whole and sink ships in a moment. Even though descriptions of this beast in folklore vary to some degree, the general consensus is that the Kraken was likely an Archaeopteryx dux, more commonly known as the giant squid. The Kraken was always considered to be the most fearsome creature in ancient mythologies, and there are still some people who think it actually exists. And this was our list of 6 of the most famous mythical creatures in history. If you liked the video, please subscribe and hit the bell button. We are posting a video every other day, and we are counting on your support.